Inside the Birds is back. What's going on, everybody? It is Geoff, Mosher, and Adam Caplan as we continue to go deeper, just a little bit deeper here into the offseason, which, really it's the first week of the offseason, Adam. NFL football, playoff football is going to be played this weekend. I wanted to get your thoughts a little later on the show, just see how you like the matchups this weekend, see who you think's going to win. But obviously, we're laser focused now on the Eagles. As we predicted last podcast, we would probably have some news about the fate of certain coaches by now. We do. So We'll talk about some of that, and we'll also look at it from an even bigger picture as far as any more news to come. We'll talk about some of the transactions that have happened, and also look at obviously the defensive coordinator search is still also going to be a big issue around the Eagles, along with the Carson Wentz issue hanging in the balance. So we do have a number of things to talk about. Am I allowed to tease and give away our next ITB TV? I mean, that's all set, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we're going to have Andrew Brandt on, and that should be out by, well, most people are listening to this on Friday, but it may not be out by the time they listen to this podcast Friday. So it should be up Friday evening and maybe Saturday. But
the great thing about it, Geoff, is that it's not time sensitive with Andrew, because we're going to talk about the Wentz situation, contract structures. The reaction we got from that show that we did with him in the spring was fantastic on just because people said it on our message board. They learned a lot about contracts on it. So we'll be sure to hit that, and we'll talk about the crazy Wentz situation, his contract, and some of the challenges they have, because the Eagles have such a unique cap situation. And plus, I want to get his thoughts about what they did with these restructures, which is very, very fascinating.
Right. Absolutely. Definitely. We're going to bury the lead a little bit as far as the coaching stuff, but because I want to get to the transactions
there
are some really interesting ones. They announced some reserve future signings. Among them were Elijah Holyfield, Deontay Burnett, the tight end Tyree Jackson, who was a former University of Buffalo quarterback. So that's pretty interesting. Hakeem Butler, tight end as well. And on defense, we've got defensive tackle Trayvon Hester, defensive ends Joe Osman and Matt Leo, and cornerbacks Jamison Houston, Lavert Hill, and safety Blake Countess. And of course, the cornerback Kevon Seymour was waived off of IR. I guess that means injury settlement usually, right?
I didn't say it on the transaction, on the personnel notice I got, but I got two comments on the reserve futures.
Oh, I got many, but go ahead.
Well, in particular, so I happen to see, it's really interesting. This Tyree Jackson signing. So he's clearly wants to be the next Logan Thomas. Why do I say that? Tyree Jackson, I was at the 19 Senior Bowl. He was horrendous throwing the football with accuracy. I mean, he's a really good kid. It's a shame at Buffalo. 6'7". I think he actually might be taller than Logan Thomas. Logan Thomas might have had a stronger arm, but Logan Thomas just had no accuracy. So he smartly, very early in his career, made a decision. If I want to play football at the next level, I got to change positions. Tyree Jackson smartly is doing the same thing. Big arm, but not as big as Logan Thomas's. Logan Thomas had an absolute rifle, just no accuracy. So Tyree Jackson, we've talked about this before in our 3 years being on the show. The Eagles have been looking for players that could transition to tight end. And I remember talking to someone with the Eagles personnel staff years ago. They've never forgotten about Antonio Gates playing basketball at Kent State, and then obviously becoming a tight end. He'll be a Hall of Famer someday. That's not been lost on them. They've been trying this. I don't have the list of guys they've tried before. But obviously you mentioned Hakeem Butler, and now Tyree Jackson is the latest guy. And who knows? Look, Logan Thomas bounced around to 4 or 5 teams, but you know what? I hope they're patient with this kid, because he's got some ability they clearly see in him. So let's hope that they're patient.
Yeah, two things come to mind. One is that you're right. They've been trying this for a while, and it even goes back to Chip Kelly and I would say the Afani Moma sort of.
Oh, yes, experiment. That's it. Thank you. Afani Moma. Yeah.
Afani Moma, who they tried to make him into a really tall wide receiver. It never panned out. But then he went to Arizona, and I believe they did turn him into a tight end.
Correct.
Tight end, and it did work out for him for maybe a year or two there. I mean, he wasn't a star by any means, but he caught a few passes here and there.
He made it, and no, actually, he was their number 2 tight end for a bit. And he actually, what ended his career is a torn ACL.
Oh, that's right.
So yeah, he definitely made it as a tight end as a backup. But the Logan Thomas one, by the way, I'd have to check. I think he's around 10 touchdowns this season. This is crazy.
Yeah, he had a heck of a December. He had like a 10-catch game. He had, I think, a 13-catch game. He caught a touchdown against the Eagles, of course, in both the season opener and the season finale. So, yeah, I like this. I've always liked this idea of the Eagles of trying to get versatile guys. There's nothing wrong with that. And if it doesn't work out, no skin off the back. But, my second thought was, hey, they made it work with Greg Ward, a quarterback turned wide receiver.
Yeah.
So maybe they can see something in a quarterback turned tight end.
Right. Just on that one, every team was going to, like, the word around the league was he was going to have to play another position. And that was receiver. But as you said, they stuck by him, but they kept cutting him and bringing him back, cutting him back. So the other note I wanted to make, and this bothered me. Now, I correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe I talked about it before, but we've only had one or two shows since last week. So I don't understand. I understand, but I don't understand. So you decide you're not going to bring up Elijah Holyfield for the final game, which would have been perfect, right?
Yep.
So they wanted to see the kid that they claim off waivers from the Lions. But Holyfield, in a game where you need help running the football because they didn't bring Jordan Howard up, why not take a look at the kid? I don't know.
I'm actually shocked that they re-signed him. Why did you re-sign him? You didn't use him, as you just mentioned.
That's what I mean, exactly.
You had an opportunity to play him in a game you clearly weren't trying very hard to win. So what makes you want him now? I just don't understand it.
Well, what happened is that they wanted to take a look at the kid that they claimed off waivers, but Huntley, he never did anything. I mean,
you could have seen them both if you wanted to.
Well, here's my problem with it. Right. Here's my problem with it. Okay. So we know what Boston Scott is. They make him the featured back in this game against Washington. Yeah. If you're going to evaluate him, how do you give him 2 carries?
I don't know. I'm very confused about it myself.
It's a.
Listen, I don't we don't want to beat the organization to death over Elijah Holyfield.
I know, but
more about the principle. Yeah, it's about the principle. I don't understand.
They were in total evaluation mode. I understand. Don't get me started. We have more important things to talk about, but that pissed me off. I don't know.
All right, so real quick also, somebody not signed to a futures contract was surprising to me. He was on the practice squad. He's a kid that they had drafted, was Prince Tega Winogo. Now, is that visa-related possibly?
I don't know. It's not like you can't sign the guy later, but the problem is the old rules, you had 1 week of exclusive negotiating rights unless you decline it. Then the kid could sign with someone else. Mm-hmm. But the fact that they have not signed him through Thursday is not a good sign. Now, they did sign Tyree Jackson on Thursday, so it's not out of the question. But as you said, he was a 6th-round pick, Winogo. You would think you would want to take a look at him, but he had the rod in his leg. I don't know where. I know he was active for this last game, but I don't know if he's ready to even compete for a backup job. I mean, who knows?
Well, they had elevated him, if I'm not mistaken, right?
They did. But here's the thing: he did not play. He only played on special teams 2 snaps.
Right. So, okay, that's interesting. I just I have a feeling it might be visa related because I thought that they needed a visa for him.
Well, that was the issue. What we talked about when he was the first guy to sign. They did it early, as you said. I think we reported on a show that's why they did it early because of the visa issue. They wanted to get it done quickly, so there wasn't a delay.
Right.
Might be. I don't know. I don't know, but. Look, if you draft a kid, you want to try to see it through, considering that you had him on your practice squad. So, well. All
right. Well, okay, we'll see what happens with him. I know there were some people that were kind of high on Prince Tega Winogo, thinking he was. I remember, some people felt like if he had not had the leg injury and the rod and everything, he might have been maybe like a 3rd-round pick, not a 6th or 7th-round pick. So, I don't know. Just somebody we'll keep our eyes on and see if they bring him back. Let's get to the coaching staff and get to what we know, what you and I reported on, I want to say Thursday night first.
Wednesday night.
Was it Wednesday night? I'm sorry. I forget my days. Yeah, Wednesday night.
Days run. Yeah, there's so much going on with the Eagles.
Exactly. Plus
day by day.
Houses, Rich Scangarello is not back with the team. He was on I guess a 1-year contract, let it expire. And so they're not going to, have him back. And I'm not sure, based on what I heard, that he was dying to come back anyway. So we'll see.
Huh. Right.
Yeah. And then
he's not coming back. Yeah. We know that.
No. Yeah, he's not coming back. And then of course, Marty Mornhinweg, not going to be back according to multiple reports. So that's 2 of the 4 ideas guys, quote unquote ideas guys, who were brought in last year around this time in this offseason to spice up the offense. And now 2 of them are no longer with the team. What do you make of that?
Yeah, so Marty, I'm told Marty Mornhinweg and Scangarello were on 1-year deals.
Mm-hmm.
They were not offered the way I understood it, they were not offered a chance to return. I don't know what the reasons were. I mean, in terms of Marty, I know he was helping with the quarterbacks a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I mean, I know some of it was with Jalen Hurts, but I don't know on his situation. He was a Doug guy. He was brought in by Doug Peterson. So I don't know why this was such an issue. So, but it doesn't matter. It was a 1-year deal. They're basically consultants, him and Scangarello, but Scangarello is more involved. When you're on a 1-year deal, there's a possibility you might not be brought back. So,
yep.
But on Scangarello, see, the way I understood it, Geoff, coming in, is that he was supposed to bring in these innovative ideas and bring in his version of his ideas from Kyle Shanahan's offense from his experience with him. And everything I gathered when I checked, I didn't know anything about the guy until it got out that they were interviewing him. I'm like, okay, I know who he worked for. I need to learn more about him. And I talked to a Broncos source who said, no, he did a great job. He just had a major disagreement with Vic Fangio, the head coach.
Mm-hmm.
And Vic said, you're not coming back. They just couldn't agree on whatever their issue was. Couldn't resolve it. So he became available. I talked to the Browns about him. They said they did talk to him. They never offered him the job despite what was out there. The Eagles did. And he came in with that senior offensive assistant coach tag. That's his role. And he did help in a variety of areas. Game planning was part of it, helping tie up a lot of loose ends for Peterson. But I just never got the feeling, Geoff, I don't know about you, but from talking to people who would know, that it was ever going to work with him. I mean, I'm talking, October, November, I was hearing what I was hearing was not great,
Mm-hmm.
that he was going to be able to return. And then, you and I had heard during the week that he was going to be out. But I didn't know in time until we checked into it that he was on a 1-year deal, which is odd. Coaches, as you know, Geoff, for almost all 2 years, and some coordinators get 3.
Mm-hmm.
But he did come in late, and that probably had a little bit to do with it.
And he also came in as a consultant, so a senior offensive assistant, not a position coach. So I guess when you get that kind of title, you're not going to get the normal 2-year or 3-year deal.
Sure.
It's always a risk to sign a 1-year deal. And Adam, I think it's always a risk to sign a 1-year deal with the Philadelphia Eagles lately, because listen, I'm going to be professional about this. I think I always am, but I'm also going to blast the organization here a little bit. What are you doing as an organization? Like, what are you doing? I'm not saying these guys deserve to stay. I'm not even making it about these 2 coaches, but year after year, you fired your offensive coordinator last year. You brought in ideas this year. Your offense was not good. Now you're firing 2 guys or not bringing them back. Now you're parting ways with 2 guys. We still don't know what's the result of the rest of the staff. We'll talk about that in a minute. If you were a fan, Adam, if you're just an Eagle fan and you're an objective and you're a logical and smart guy, don't you look at the organization and say, who's vetting here? Like, who is doing the hiring? And why is it every time this team hires guys, they have to fire guys? Sometimes the same guys or part ways the next year. I mean, this is a bad look. I'm sorry. It's just a bad look.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think I have a hypothesis on this, an educated guess.
Okay.
But you and I reported, Jesus Christ, last spring that we exactly why he was hired.
Mm-hmm.
Because the owner wanted innovation. That's why the owner was involved in firing the 2 coaches last year. But he particularly Mike Groh, because he wanted this offense to be top 5.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and obviously it was nowhere near top 5. And he was supposed to bring in that type of offense. Now, here's the question, and I don't know Scangarello, so I'm not trying to back him.
Right.
Here.
I'm not making it about these 2 guys. I'm making it about the organization's.
Right. Well, I'm getting to that. Right. I'm getting to that. So my question is, we know the owner was involved in the off-season meetings last year, as he's involved in these meetings. They had their meeting earlier this week, and I know they're continuing to talk.
Yep.
Every year they meet on Tuesday. So the question is, and by the way, most teams do that are out of the playoffs. That's the way it works. The Monday is unless you're firing the coach, you you let the head coach go through the exit meetings, and the next day when he clears his head, you all meet and you go through it. So anyway, so we knew that Jeffrey Lurie was involved last year. We know he's involved this year. I'm not saying that Jeffrey told Doug Peterson to not renew Scangarello's contract, but we know that what Jeffrey wanted. He wanted innovation with the offense. He wanted to move things forward here. Okay, but here's the question: if you're Scangarello or any coach that comes in here, it's more for the new coaches who are going to come in. If they fire anyone, who the hell knows? These were, as you said, extra coaches anyway. They were not doing this. Remember, it was the Dallas game was the first game they did a lot of pre-snap. Correct.
Right.
That was the first game, if I recall correctly. Correct me if I'm wrong. That they did a lot of pre-snap motion, a ton of it. Where the hell was it before that?
We've talked about this. We have no idea why it wasn't there or why it was there suddenly and then pulled away. Then it came back for Jalen Hurts. I mean, I would love to know the reason. I would love to know if the quarterback.
Did someone get it? Okay. Did someone get in their ear? I don't know. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. But and here's another question to even take this further. We knew. Do we know 100% that Peterson was forced to hire coaches after last season? What I would say, we're talking the 19 season. What we do know is they weren't getting the offense that they wanted.
Right.
So they were going to go out and get it. Remember, they interviewed some coaches. The big name, I don't know how big a name is, but Graham Harrell, the OC of USC. Right. They clearly wanted to bring in some innovation, college concepts.
Yes.
And pre-snap motion, all that. But to tie us up in a bow, clearly the owner did not get what he wanted out of this for what he was looking for, a top 5 offense. What makes anyone think this could be a top 5 offense?
Adam, that's a great question. I guess my question I was trying to pose is where is the
Who's
credibility
left that can make a top 5 offense?
Where's the credibility left of the organization that says, I want to do better, fires guys, brings guys in, doesn't do better, fires guys, brings guys in? You know, like how many?
But again, okay,
this coaches have they had in 5-6 years? Six wide receiver coaches last 6 years. Right?
Bob Bicknell was the last one. Bob Bicknell on Chip's staff was the last one to have multiple years. 16 Lewis fired. By the way, Doug delayed that firing. 17 Mike Rowe. 18
Carson Walsh.
No, it was the college coach, the older guy.
Gunter Brewer.
Right? Gunter Brewer. 19
Carson Walsh.
20
and then this year
Aaron Moorhead. By the way, that
5
report,
and 5 years.
I don't know. It could change, obviously, but Roto World completely screwed up a news aggregation.
Yes,
I hope they. Yeah, and I'm not going to go. So people had asked us on our Facebook page, and I answered it. No, there were some really bad. I'm glad I'm not their editor. I probably would have fired them all. You can't put information out that's not sourced when you're a news aggregator. Your job is not to give. Your job is not to report. Your job is to disseminate information correctly. And they said that Moorhead, Briner, and some other guy wouldn't be back. Now that may wind up being true in a week. I don't know. But what I do know is it was not correct, and I just was like, "What the hell?"
It was it was weird because, as you're saying, they were aggregating John Clark's report, which was really just aggregating.
By the way, you know how I know how I knew nothing about this. A coach from another team wanted to know what was going on with one of the coaches because this guy is a position coach wanted to know if this job was available, and I go, "I don't know what you're talking about." And then he goes, "Go to Roto World," and I'm looking at it. I'm like, "I can't find this." And then I saw in their analysis part. They said that this guy won't be back. I'm like, well, I was like, wow, they're really cleaning house, but there was no link to it. And I did a quick Google search for the last hour, nothing. And I did the Twitter search, which will give you an immediate when their name comes up, nothing.
Right. So yeah, anyway. There's nothing. I don't know how they came to that report.
Sorry, folks. I just wanted you guys to know that didn't. We don't want anyone to get fired, but
sure.
Yeah, I don't know because I know we were getting questions about it, so that's where that is.
Right. All right. So back to the point.
Yeah.
Is you've had 5 wide receivers coaches in 5 years. You've had several different offensive coaches coming in and out, and over the last few years, your offense has gotten progressively worse. So I go back to this question, and I don't have your answer. I don't know. I assume that coach hires are made by Doug because he's the head coach. That's my assumption. I don't know. Nobody's told me anything differently, right? We do know that, as you mentioned, Jeffrey's gotten involved in at least wanting changes, but we don't know that. I don't think Jeffrey's hiring coaches.
No, he's not. But
okay. But my point is this: you're hiring and firing coaches on the regular now, and not getting better results. There's a problem there. I don't know who or exactly. There's a problem with the process, and if you're coming back with generally the same people in place, what you're saying is we're going to get this process fixed. That's our jobs. And you've heard Doug say that. It's my job to fix it. It's my job to fix it. You've also heard Doug say,
but what is his idea?
My voice. That's what I'm asking. That's where I'm criticizing. No, you don't have credibility when you do this year after year after year, and then you're trying to redo it the next year. That's all I'm saying.
I got it. It's fair because
it doesn't mean they can't make a good hire here.
It's one thing like Brian Flores, for instance, right? The Dolphins head coach over his 2 years, he's let go a bunch of coaches. Chan Gailey was he resigned, but the line coach was not brought back. The OC after the first season was not brought back. There was another coach.
Right.
Okay. First 2 years. This is year 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Actually, no, this will be year 6.
Right.
I've just finished the 5th year. I mean,
year 1, you understand, right? Because the point you're trying to make is that you have to hire who's free agents. You don't get to just bring guys all the time because they're under contract. But yeah, so by year 5, though, I mean, you should have developed somebody at least.
Not good. I mean, so to move this forward here, offensively now, what's left is Press Taylor, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Who else? And we've outlined Press now for 2.5 months. I mean, I've said it many times. I'm not going to back off it. I don't see how in the heck he returns with the same role. Again, and Doug Peterson has to understand that. Look, what it's really about is development of the quarterbacks. We can talk all we want about injuries and the excuses. Yes, it's part of it. But a quarterback regression for 2 years for not just your starting quarterback, but your number 2 quarterback in Sudfeld. There's got to be accountability here. Okay. The quarterback position is regressed. Hurts showed some promise, but man, I'm not saying anyone needs to be fired, whether you reassign the guy or give him different roles.
Mm-hmm.
Peterson's got to do the smart thing here. They got to go find somebody who's absolutely a proven quarterback coach, developer.
Right.
There aren't a lot of them that could be available, but you know what? Go find them. Get your list together. You guys got to meet. And hopefully they did this week, Geoff, because this bleep ain't working.
Right. All right. Let's talk about that in a second. First, we'll stop and remind everybody to check out our friends at phlsportsnation.com, enhancing the fan experience with their great coverage of all 4 Philly sports teams, the Eagles, Flyers, Sixers, Phillies, and even the Union. So make it 5. Check them out on Twitter at PHL Sports Nation. And they've got, again, great coverage, great content, good podcast too. phlsportsnation.com. Let's pause one moment for another word from our great sponsors, including our friends at Sky Motor Cars. All right. So as we move on to the rest of the staff, I think you and I both agree that, without being told anything, that the not welcoming back of Marty Mornhinweg and Rich Scangarello does not mean that they're going to find 2 other ideas guys. They're not being replaced. I can't imagine.
Yeah. They're extra jobs, but the idea guys, see, I think Peterson really liked it. A smaller group of idea guys. Like, okay, so in 16 and 17, he had Reich, of course, who was the offensive coordinator. They would hire Mike Groh in 17. They D. Filippo, of course, and they split the responsibilities between red zone and third down, and then D. Filippo handled the quarterbacks. That's a pretty good streamlined approach. Now, if they kept Scangarello, Mornhinweg, Andrew Briner, Press Taylor, Doug Peterson, am I forgetting anybody? Is there somebody else?
Deuce Staley, Jeff Stoutland.
Yeah, now that worked for the run game. Deuce and Stout they still do a great job.
Yes,
but from the passing game and all about the quarterbacks, I was resistant to say there were too many voices early on because I just wanted to see how it went. But clearly there were too many voices. And Doug Peterson confirmed it for everybody who was listening at his January 1st press conference. It's clearly right. He didn't like it. He wanted that one voice. He outlined it. And okay, well, and it's funny when he did that. I'm like, oh boy, this is not good for Scangarello. I don't know. He didn't mean to call anyone out, but you see Mornhinweg and Scangarello out. So he clearly wanted to streamline it.
He does want to streamline it. He also wants to fix the quarterback. That was a big thing that came out of his mouth. It came out of Howie Roseman's mouth, fixing the quarterback. So as you look at the current state as we record this on Thursday night, the people left that deal with the quarterback are Press Taylor, who is the passing game coordinator, along with the quarterback's coach, and Andrew Briner, who was brought in with the ideas guys last year. He's a spread concept guy, a pass game consultant, I believe. So if I'm to read between the lines here, Adam, I don't know how, and you already alluded to it, but how do you fix this quarterback with the same coaching staff or the same people who have been around? Don't you have to bring in somebody new or differently? Don't you think that would be the result here?
Listen, I may wind up being totally wrong about this. Again, I'm not trying to get Press Taylor fired. I'm looking at the two, knowing the way that the owner thinks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is a quarterback, Carson Wentz, who he's paying $32 million a year to see how he's regressed to the point he had to be benched. I'm just trying to use empathy here. I would be bleeping furious.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to allow the same structure of coaching. It didn't work.
It's interesting. It's interesting you say that because I've been.
Would you?
I would be very skeptical about it.
I would be pissed.
I would say
if I
something
own a
has
business
to change.
and my head and if the guy managing my number one product, you and I aren't in the meeting room, so we don't know how he was coached, but we have the damn results. This is just unacceptable. Come on.
So here's what I find really interesting, Adam. Last year, after Doug's press conference, that turned out to be an abomination, right? He said, "Oh, these guys are coming back," and then the next day later, then literally, it was less than 24 hours later that there was, I believe it was ESPN that reported that Mike Rowe was fired and Carson Walsh was fired. Less than 24 hours. So here, fast forward to now, Doug and Howie have had their press conference. And they've talked about fixing the quarterback. And there was a report from ESPN, I think this was Schefter, that Doug is expected to say, but they're going to talk about the coaching staff. We're now several days removed from that press conference, and there's been no either report from anybody from ESPN or official notification from the Eagles or nothing from Jeffrey Lurie that this is it. This is your staff and this is going forward.
Oh,
right?
no, but these are look, the Tuesday meeting was your typical meeting. They exchange ideas and any grievances that either side has.
Mm-hmm.
Just in terms of, okay, I didn't, if the head coach, again, I don't know it to be the fact, but if he felt forced to hire coaches last year, no, in the end, as you said, it's his call who he hires.
Mm-hmm.
But clearly when the owner wanted two coaches off the roster last year,
right.
Doug Peterson knows that in the end, it's really not going to, he could say he has final say on his coaches,
mm-hmm.
but if the owner who owns the business says, I don't want these guys back, you got to do it.
Right. And the fact that I feel like this is dragged out over a couple of days without any official notice, to me, suggests that there's a lot of discussions going on right now.
But there was never, but no, again, okay, maybe so, but boy, the way that Roseman and Peterson had a joint press conference.
Yeah.
So now that was before the meeting, though, that's
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yes. The more days go by, that makes me think that the more discussions are going on. So
that's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
I would just read the room here and say that there's some discussions going on.
Okay, that's very
We
fair.
don't know what the end result is.
Well, I did say in our last show, Tuesday is just the beginning of it. That's not doesn't end at all. It just that's where you start the off season. But look, we'll see what Peterson does with Press Taylor. I mean, that's his guy. We know that. He was kept from Chip Kelly's staff. He's had a good relation with Press. He promoted him from being the offensive quality control coach to quarterbacks coach. This is his guy. It was his decision, by the way. Let's call it like it is. In the end, it was his decision to do it, not go out and hire an outside quarterbacks coach, someone who had more experience in Press. It's the first, as we said 2 years ago, this is the first time he's ever run a room in his life.
Right.
So it's been a challenge.
Right. Yeah, no. And so I again, there's this also the Carson Wentz situation that's kind of hovering over them. And you wonder what kind of impact that is having on any decision-making going on right now. We know that Carson and Press Taylor are very close, correct? Right. That's known. They're close.
As a coach player. Yes.
Yeah. As a player, they're coach. So, part of me wonders, are they trying to kind of make it work with Press because they know that might be the key to making Carson change his mind about things? I don't know. Again, I had to speculate.
I did think about that earlier this week.
Mm-hmm.
If they keep Taylor, But here's the issue. Are you going to keep him as a quarterbacks coach? How do you sell that? That's the other thing. It's the fans are one thing, but how do you sell it to your football team when this has been a 2-year regression of these two quarterbacks?
Mm-hmm.
One's in Sudfeld. I just don't know how you sell it. I'm trying to use logic in this situation. I've been talking about this now for 2 months, that I didn't see any way that Press Taylor would still be the quarterbacks coach, whether they reassign him, give him a different role.
Mm-hmm.
It would be because of the regression. If Wentz at least played average football, okay, you want to bring back Taylor in the same role because the offensive line was so bad. You're going with a lot of rookie young receivers. Jeffrey was out for a bit. Obviously, Jackson missed most of the season. I understand there's certainly some good built-in excuses, but the results are the results. This is not a 1-year issue, though. That's the issue.
The results are the results. You're absolutely right about that. All right. As I said last podcast, Adam, and I was right. I said we'd have some news to talk about this podcast. We just did. I bet you next time we do a podcast, which will drop, what is our next problem? Monday morning, right?
Correct.
Monday morning. I bet you we'll be reacting to even more news. We'll see.
I would expect, well, technically Jim Schwartz, had a statement on Thursday.
That's right.
That's another one. Now it's unlikely this one's going to get done in a week or two. This one's a little bit harder because of the COVID issue. They're probably going to want to talk to some guys in the playoffs. They have Burke and Marquand Manuel. They've got a bunch of outside candidates they could look at. Some are available now because their teams are out of the playoffs. But this one's fascinating, man, because I never thought in a million years they'd run a 34 defense. They did in 2013. Boy, was I wrong. They did. They had been a 43 for many years, and they surprised me. They went a 2-gap system.
Right.
But as I reported on our show last Sunday, our pregame show, that from what I'm hearing and everything I've heard subsequent has been true, they're open to running any kind of scheme, but it comes down to using the talent correctly. They will not. No one's going to be open to it unless it matches Hargrave and Fletcher Cox and their D line. So it'll be fascinating to see what they do here.
I guess it will be. I want to get into that a little bit more on the defensive side. First, I want to remind our friends about our friends at DraftKings. Now, playoffs are right here. And you want to talk about the playoffs? That's right. Football's playoffs start this weekend, and there's no better place to get in on all of the action than with DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app. If you haven't checked out the app yet, there's no better time to sign up and start cashing in. DraftKings Sportsbook is giving all new players a deposit bonus up to $1,000 when signing up using that promo code ITB. DraftKings Sportsbook has endless ways for you to bet, from live betting to betting on your favorite players. They do it all. Check out the DraftKings Sportsbook app every day this week to cash in on their daily odds boosts. New boosts are posted every single day for all the biggest sporting events. DraftKings is safe, reliable, and secure, making it easy for you to deposit and withdraw your money at your convenience. So download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the promo code ITB when you sign up and get up to $1,000. That's code ITB to get a deposit bonus up to $1,000 for a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Got to be 21 or older, Pennsylvania only, in partnership with Meadows Racetrack and Casino. Bonus comprised of a first deposit bonus. Deposit bonus requires 25 times playthrough. Restrictions apply to DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, getting back to the defensive coordinator situation. There really has not been any announcements about interviews or anything. I think we both expect that, by virtue of the fact that they've been defensive coordinators before, you would expect Matt Burke and Marquand Manuel to at least get an interview. I think that's
and I'm told by coaching source that Burke definitely is interested in the job. Definitely would like to be the D coordinator if he gets a chance.
Mm-hmm.
Now obviously they could keep the same scheme. Matt stayed this year because instead of going to Detroit was going to hire him, but the Eagles, he had to get a position. There was no way he was going to stay in the role that he had before. So Burke stayed, did a good job. I mean, you can't argue with the results. Their D-line was fantastic. They were 1 or 2 in pressures up through week 16. I don't know. I didn't look at the pressure numbers for week 17, but they did a great job. And Marquand Manuel got a short, man. He did not get treated well in Atlanta. He should have Dan Quinn fired him after 1 year of being the D coordinator. He needed a better chance.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. It's one of these situations with their secondary. You play the scheme. How many times did we say that this scheme? See, I don't blame Marquand Manuel for the lack of turnovers. They play a specific scheme. They've never been a high turnover defense here with Jim Schwartz. Jim Schwartz is a good coordinator, but they just don't get turnovers. And he bristles. Oh no, you can't do that. You can't. He bristles at if you try to do. If you try to do that, you could screw up. Okay, but the fact of the matter is, it's because of the way that it's his philosophy, and that's fine. But Marquand Manuel should get a shot to be. I hope he does. There's no reason why he shouldn't get an interview. I expect him to get an interview.
I do too. I really do hope that they look at some of the younger upcoming defensive minds in the league, whether it's D'Amico Ryans, and not just because he's been here, but he has a great reputation. But he's also coming from that San Francisco chain that's done a really nice job there with Robert Saleh, right?
Oh my God, Robert Saleh. I mean, the funny thing is, his first years, their defense was terrible. And the fans wanted him out. And I always said, just wait till they get talent. And they did. And Greg Cosell said that he probably did one of the best jobs of any D coordinator. They had so many injuries, COVID issue. They did a phenomenal job. And talk about, this is the thing that you learn about this business, Geoff. When you don't make injuries an excuse and you go, we're going to do great with the guys we have, then you have Robert Saleh.
Right.
He did 1 week they had like 6 starters out and they still play great defense. It just got you don't care. Don't worry about it. You just coach the guys you have.
Right. I would like it for the Eagles to cast a wide net and at least just do interviews. And even if you don't, love these guys,
take your time. Take your
time. Find out who's the best guy, who knocks you off your socks. If there's anybody out there who has,
there's a guy
that you think are going to be, used in the league going forward.
So I asked a friend who's a defensive coach. He's my go-to guy with knowing who's good and who's bad, who's not a good coach and who he really respects. And I forgot about this guy. Now he's with a team that's in the playoffs. Joe Barry is assistant head coach and he coaches linebackers. He's a former D coordinator for Washington. I think maybe Detroit. He's really a good coach. It was either going to be Joe Barry or Brandon Staley, who was going to be the D coordinator. And you got to give Sean McVay credit. He found Brandon Staley. He's phenomenal. Did a great job. Joe Barry's a really good football coach. He would be my number one choice based on the guy that I talked to is phenomenal at evaluating defensive coaches. It's a guy I met at the Senior Bowl like 10 years ago.
Yep.
Coaches know coaches. Okay. This is, as you well know, Geoff, you talk to a lot of coaches. Coaches always know coaches. They know who the fakes are, the real guys who bring it. Right up there is Raheem Morris. I get him in a heartbeat. Either one I would take. We'll see. Now, Raheem Morris is he interviewed for the Falcons job, and I believe he had another interview with another team. If he does not get a head coaching job, I want either one of those two guys. And obviously, Barry's coaching the playoffs this weekend, so we'll see. But anyone else you like on those lists?
I mentioned D'Amico Ryans. Aaron Glenn.
It's a little early for.
I just want to interview him.
I'd love to. Yeah, sure. Why not? Great point. Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
See listen. Hey, if he blows you away. And he's got a plan. And he's like, this is what I want to do. These are coaches I want to hire. Bleep it then. You know what? Listen, you always got to go with an open mind.
I would love – I don't know who the Colts linebackers coach is, but anybody who's coaching under Matt Eberflus right now.
Yeah.
Specifically the linebackers who do a great job on that team.
I will look that up. In fact, I know who it is, but I can't. As you speak, I will look it up. I think I know who it is. Go ahead.
I would want to talk to that person. I mentioned Aaron Glenn. I know you brought up Jeff Ulbrich from Atlanta.
Love him. I like Aaron Glenn and Jeff Ulbrich. I want to talk to. Ulbrich played in a 34, coach in a 34 and a 43. I want this guy. I want to talk to him. I want to talk to Aaron Glenn, who I'd mentioned on our last show has experience in scouting, that's a nice little extra because that helps you speak scouts language. Right. That's really important.
Right.
Who anyone else you see?
Is there anybody on the Ravens under Martindale? Like, do they have a secondary coach or a linebackers coach that ever gets buzzed because those guys play really? I love the way they play.
Yes. The linebackers coach is Mike Berganzi's brother, Dave. He's been in the league a long time. It's funny. They look younger than they are. But not that they're old, but anyway, Dave Berganzi would be that guy. I don't know enough about him to say, I have to ask my guy and say, that's a good name. And their linebackers are phenomenal, as you know.
And their defensive backs as well. So, I would check out their secondary coach as well. All right. One name I would throw out to you. All right. You give Rex Ryan a call? You have to pay him a lot of money to get him off TV.
Okay. He's only 34. You can only run a 34 front.
Yeah, I'll run his front.
Um,
Is he going to fit well in that building? Probably not with the ego.
he's different, right? He's
Yeah.
different. Okay. Here are the other names on my list. Ted Monticino, who's the senior defensive assistant, outside linebackers coach for the Bears. He's coaching this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
He was on their list years ago when he was with the Ravens. It's been so long, I don't remember what the hell happened. This one was given me to a coach, Jason Tarver. He's a linebackers coach for the Browns. He's been a D coordinator.
Yes,
he was at Vanderbilt, but it's hard to judge him there because Vanderbilt, they're a high end school. They're not good at football. There's never been. That's where Aaron Moorhead came from last. Right. But Tarver was a D coordinator for the Raiders. He's a pretty sharp guy. He could coach the 34, 40, 43. We mentioned Steve Wilkes on the former show. Now Gus Bradley, as I understand, he's under contract. He's being paid a lot of money. Obviously, there's an offset with coaches' contracts, but they had a bad year. Great guy, good coach, but man, they had a rough year. I'd have to check into what happened. What's that?
Yeah, I'd really try to look into someone who's going to, he plays a similar defense to what Jim did. They cover 1, cover 3. I mean, not completely the same, but I mean, I just want a blend of ideas, Adam. I want some people with, I hate to sound like the whole ideas guy thing, but I do. I want some people who are, bringing fresh concepts and hear about it. Now, I'm not interviewing, so I'm not going to know, but
we'll have more names, but again, they're not even interviewing yet. So, right. I mean, they haven't, no names have come out. I'm just, Geoff and I are just getting ideas of, because the way I understand it, they're not married to the wide nine. They would play it again if they feel like they want to, but again, It's going to be the head coach's decision on what they're going to do. So we'll have to see. But to me, I would summarize it like this. I want to talk to Joe Barry, Raheem Morris, Aaron Glenn, Monticino, Ulbrich, Wilkes, Tarver. He's got a ton of energy. He's really smart. Obviously, their in-house candidates would be Marquand Manuel and Matt Burke. And you got any more names, folks? I've seen them on the message board. The one I love for just as a quarterback, because I talk to guys who work with him, would be Pep Hamilton, the Chargers coach.
Yeah.
But again, if they're bringing back Press Taylor, then it's a moot point. But if they're not bringing back Press Taylor, Pep Hamilton's done a great. The guy that's worked with him said he's phenomenal coaching quarterbacks. Was not as warm on him as a OC, but he's got presence and he's look. The guy's worked in the NFL and college football for a lot, and he's a guy who's been around a long time. He's got a good track record of quarterbacks.
I'll give you one more name of a guy I would only because I've heard some pretty good things, and I think he brings a lot of fire to the job. Right. Spark plug. I would if he's interested, and I think he might be. I would look at Joey Porter from the Steelers. I believe he's a defensive assistant right now.
I need to take as a D coordinator. That would be a major step for him. I got to see exactly.
Been coaching for a while though. He's not
right.
Not like
I got to see exactly what he's doing. I got to see exactly what he was. I don't know. I think he's the outside linebackers coach for the Steelers, but I got to double check. Yeah,
outside linebacker / defensive assistant or something like that. And
now, if they think he's ready, then that's a different story. His name has not come to my attention, but hey, he might be. Who knows?
Yeah, he's been coaching for 6 or 7 years now. So, it's a jump, but it's not like the craziest jump you'll ever see. So I just want to hear his ideas. It's a great defense out there in Pittsburgh usually every year, and certainly the last 2 years.
Actually, he's not with Pittsburgh anymore. I'm looking at
He's not?
No, the guy that I would talk to is Terrell Austin. No. In fact, I thought that might be the case.
That's right, Terrell Austin. Yeah.
Yeah, who's been a D coordinator before. So he's he's been around a long time. Been around a lot of success here with the Steelers. Right. He's senior defensive assistant with the secondary. I'd put him on the list. At least talk to him. See what his ideas
definitely.
Are.
I wonder where he is, by the way.
I don't know.
He's done. Okay.
I don't know. But I'm looking at their list. He's not on there.
I liked him as a player, so I thought he was still coaching. So I thought it would make a good kind of wild card candidate. All right,
we'll look it up. We'll see where he's at.
All right. So tell me, Saturday, do you like the Colts or the Bills?
All right. Here's who I got. Here is who I have this week in the playoffs on Saturdays for Super Wild Card Weekend. I've got a tight one, Bills over the Colts. I really do believe the Bills are the only team that could upset the Chiefs to get the Super Bowl, but you got to get by the Colts first. Colts defense has not played particularly well in the secondary. Right. Josh Allen's playing at MVP level. I like the Bills. The weather should be fine. I checked it. Seattle hosting the Rams. Russell Wilson.
Wait, hold up. Before you get on,
you asked me first. So go ahead. Yeah.
I know, but I want to tell you that according to DraftKings, the Bills are 6.5 point favorites.
I'm not giving it up. I'm not. I think I don't trust that.
I agree with you.
You agree?
I agree. I feel like it's going to be like a 23-20 type Bills win. Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
So you think what's the over under?
51.
Can't
Take
do
the
it.
under on that.
Can't do it. Yeah, I like the Bills to win straight up. I don't like them. I don't. If I had to take either side, probably the Bills. But I just think they'll win the game.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Okay. Rams, Seahawks. Russell Wilson's playing poorly. I was on fantasypoints.com's Zoom session on Thursday night. Greg said this is the worst Russell Wilson's played.
Wow. He started off so great.
I know.
Amazing.
Well, they literally let Russ cook. The scoop that I had to start the season was this is Pete Carroll finally gave in.
Mm-hmm.
They were incredibly aggressive in the first half with analytics tells you come out throwing. They did.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I think what happened mid-season, and the numbers will show it, he's only had 3 games in the second half of the season with double-digit touchdowns. And by the way, it was against the awful Jet secondary.
Yeah.
He's regressed. He's the word is their teams are playing a lot of cover 2 against him.
Mm-hmm.
He's been indecisive. He's holding the ball too long. Where have we heard this before? Just not playing well. Now I'll tell you what. If Jared Goff happened to be healthy, I might pick the upset. I'm going to go with the Seahawks here, and I don't. John Wolf. Although I mean Goff, boy, the way that Sean McVay talked Thursday is like it sounds pretty good for Goff to play, but not that Goff had been playing well. But you like him to be healthy,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
What do you think of this?
Playing well either. I like the Seahawks. I like the Seahawks by about 6. You know, they're 3.5 point favorites, so I guess I like them to cover. I like it. It's probably not going to be a very high scoring game. I would say like something like 26-20. So, and wow, even that's high. The over under is 42.
Ooh,
so,
that low.
That's pretty low.
Well, you look at the scores of those 2 games against the Seahawks, the Rams.
Yeah.
2 games, the Rams Seahawks. You could understand that. Wow.
Yeah,
it is low. Jeez, it's very low.
All right, Bucks at Washington. Washington are as 8-point home underdogs.
I'd give it up. This is the Saints game is the biggest blowout. That'll be wow. Yeah, I would definitely. I love the Bucks in this game. They got, even if Mike Evans doesn't play or if he's just not right in the game, Scotty Miller's decent. Who will start for him if he can't play on the outside? He's had a couple good games.
Yeah.
How do you see that game?
This has like 27-13 written all over it. That's how I see it. I mean, Washington's got a really good defense, so I think it'll be tighter than that for the first half. But I don't see their offense being able to hang around, and now the defense will be asked to be too much to do way too much.
Blow them out.
Yeah,
Washington can't score. They just can't score. Look how bad they looked against. And Taylor Heineke took a lot of the ones in
that's
Thursday.
Not good either. Right.
Yeah. It's funny. I mentioned the Rams Seahawks game. Boy, now I know why the over-under is 42. Their first matchup was 23-16. The last one was 20-9.
Wow. Yeah.
There you go.
Watch, this game will be like 41-39. No.
If there are a lot of turnovers, look, you never know. But on paper, it doesn't look like that.
All right, the game of the weekend: Ravens at Titans. Ravens are 3.5 point favorites.
Whoa! Who's a 3.5 point favorite?
Yeah, the Ravens are 3.5 point favorites.
Really? They're a favorite? Now I know the Titans defense stinks. Holy smokes!
Yeah, I actually think they should be. They played really well over the last 6 or 7 weeks of the season.
Wow, that surprises me. Last year the Titans housed the Ravens. The Titans defense was much better last year.
Mm-hmm.
I got to see that week 11 game, remember, was crazy. It was high scoring, 30-24 in overtime. The Titans won.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, I like the Titans to win the game. And I know Lamar Jackson has not played well in the playoffs. He's been awful, but he's been a great regular season quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
But Lamar's thrown the ball better since he came off the COVID list.
Yeah.
It's a tight game. I think it's a 3-point game. I'm picking the Titans. I don't feel great about it because their defense stinks.
Mm-hmm.
What's the over-under in that game?
54.5.
Yeah, I like over in that game.
I like the over. I agree with you that 3.5 on either side is a little bit too rich because I can see this game being decided by a field goal, but I do think the Ravens are going to win.
Okay, listen, I have no
Titans
argument there. It could go either way. I don't feel great about the Titans in this game. I just think that they're really well coached. Vrabel's a terrific head coach. Harbaugh's a great coach. It's just I love watching Lamar though. I know both teams do not like their quarterbacks throwing very much. I understand it. It's all about Henry. Tannehill struggles. He struggled mentally badly with the Dolphins when they asked him to throw a lot. And they've got the perfect game plan because it's going to Henry. But hey, Tannehill, by the way, unbelievable season. Yeah. Unbelievable season.
Yeah.
You're right. It's game of the week. You set up very well. I can't wait for it.
Yeah. All right. Bears Saints. Bears are 10.5-point underdogs.
Saints by 14 or more. I'd be shocked if this game's close.
I agree with
I
you.
don't see any way they could stay within 10.
No, I agree. I think it's going to be like a 31 to 13 type.
Right with you. Right with you.
Browns and Steelers. Second best game, I think.
Yeah, Stefanski not coaching. Can't.
Yeah, that's
it's a
tough.
COVID issue. Batonio, poor guy, could have played in his first playoff game. Can't.
I still think it's going to be close, though. I think this is going to be a grinded out time. I mean, it's Cleveland versus Pittsburgh here for the third time.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. Okay, here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at this game, the Browns are down Denzel Ward, Kevin Johnson, so 2 out of the top 3 corners. They're down Olivier Verner towards Achilles. He's out.
Yeah, that's true.
They're going to have problems. I like that they finally open it up in the second half of that Colts game when they came back. Boy, did they throw the ball downfield finally.
Yeah.
I don't count last week. Although Mason Rudolph was slinging it last week. I don't know what the hell that was about. It's kind of funny. Right. But I hear you on the Browns, but I just don't see it. I give this. What's the spread on this one?
6-point favorites.
Yeah, I like the Steelers to win by 10 or more in this game.
Yeah, I can't give the Steelers 10. I would say that, especially in a divisional type game, I do think the Steelers will win, but I think it's going to be something like 23 to 16. So it's 7, but not 10.
Ooh, low score. What's the over under?
47.5.
The mediums. Yeah, it's today's NFL. It's like a medium.
These two teams, though, they're going to play a lot.
I hear you, but if they had everybody, if they had the head coach and there's some other coaches are out,
right?
I don't know, man. This is bad. I'm pulling for the Browns. I'm still happy they made the playoffs, and Jimmy Haslam doesn't have to worry about it anymore about getting on his coaches about getting in the playoffs. They've finally gotten there, and the thing is, at 11-5, they're nowhere near as good as their record. I hope Brown fans are understanding like the team overachieved. They're nowhere near as good as the record. They may not even be near as good as next year, so they got to be patient here.
Well, yeah, they're going to have to they have to develop Baker more and throw the ball a little bit more if they ever actually want to win anything. So, but
they need more receivers too. Yeah,
and they need receiving help. Yeah. All right, we'll see what happens. I suspect next time our listeners hear from us, we'll have even more news about the Eagles and their coaching staff. But that will do it for this episode of Inside the Birds, the leading podcast in Eagles intel. Big thanks to our producer, Hunter Brody. Check him out on YouTube. It's called Sports Talk with Broads. Check him out on Twitter at Broads81. And as always, we thank you guys for listening to us and flying with us inside the Birds.